so this is day 19, and the thing I want to talk about today is not necessarily related to this whole inner circle, bigger, wider thing that I was talking about. So I'm sorry, but I keep thinking about it, and it's just so true, and I just feel I want to talk about it. So the 19th piece of advice I would give to my childhood self is this idea that your natural state is joy. And when we think about this idea that joy is natural, you look at a kid and it's like everything they do is just like, I mean, not everything, obviously kids get upset, but just there's so much joy in their life, and obviously then responsibility comes in, and we live in this pretense that we think that as we get older we have to be, because we have the responsibilities and we have the this and we have the that therefore we shouldn't be as full of joy as we were as kids, or that if you have all those responsibilities that it means that you can't be as filled with joy as a little kid with no responsibilities. But I just am, as I'm getting older, just believing that to not be true. I think that deep down beneath all the stories and the things that we think that we have to feel and things we have to think we have to do and be and all this, if you look beneath it all, it's just like joy in just being. And so I think I've been reflecting recently. Because it's coming to the end of the year. I'm just looking back on my year, and especially the last 6 months, and looking at how much I've changed and what has changed and what's not. And kind of I like to do like a bit of a review and see. Obviously, I think a lot of people do, but doing a bit of a review to see what is working, what isn't working, and make some changes accordingly for next year. And I'm looking at one of my kind of goals that I'm working toward is being in a beautiful state every day. So feeling this joy, feeling this happiness every day, because I have a tendency to find the negative in things, find the half empty cup in every situation. And so one of my goals has been finding a beautiful state every day, in spite of the problems, in spite of the responsibilities, finding joy in every day, basically. And I've discovered in doing that, in doing my gratitude and celebrating my failures and trying to ignore other people's opinions and coming in line with all these things, like loving myself, realizing that I'm enough, not taking things personally, feeling my feelings, all these things that I've been working through, that I've been talking about in the last 18 videos, has been about finding this natural state of joy and coming back to it. And that's what I've discovered. It's not that I have to work toward becoming joyful. It's actually this idea of stripping away what is not mine, what I don't need, what I've taken on that wasn't mine to begin with, that's taking away, like almost taking on all this stuff is taking away from, or is like covering up what was already there. And we take on all these different things from outside of us that aren't ours and that weren't ours to begin with. If you go back and you if you picture yourself as like a baby, if you see a baby, they don't know those things. They don't know to take those things on. A little kid playing in a sandpit doesn't need to take on this idea that they have to get things done that day, that they have to worry about the thing that's happening later that afternoon. They're in the sandpit playing. They don't need to worry about the fact that they've got to eat lunch in an hour. They're just sitting there playing with the sand. And they don't have to become anything or work towards something, and they're just enjoying that moment. And so I'm like that other people's opinions, that's not my thing. And having to feel a certain way about failure, that's not my thing. Not loving myself, that's not my thing. That's something I was taught, and taking it personally, that's not about me, that's their thing. And speaking my truth and not having to hide what I feel for other people, and peeling back all these layers, and discovering that when I'm living in a place of without these other things and just as me, I'm feeling so much joy. And I think that is our natural state. And so finding this way to come back to this natural state and to find it, and I don't know that it's, I think that is how we get to that requires a lot more. But just this idea of that you don't have to be in this state of fear or sadness or this or that, and those things we just almost take on according to the things happening around us. It can be a choice to take on those things. So in the same way that we choose to take on things, we can choose to not take on things. At any time, I can choose to find joy. I can choose, I guess it's kind of similar to this whole happiness is an inside job. It's something that you choose, but it's accessible to you at any moment. Basically, because it's coming to the end of the year, I'm kind of doing a bit of an end of the year review and just looking at my year and what has worked, what hasn't been working. And I guess going through these 30 things is bringing up a lot for me. And I'm kind of, as I'm working through them, I'm really looking at each one and going like, okay, how has this been showing up in my life? How much have I been using this? And so the one today that I was looking at about joy in my everyday is, with all these different practices, they all kind of lead to this idea of discovering this joy. It's like when you peel off the other people's opinions and you peel off someone else's definition of failure, if you peel off this need to follow someone else's life choices for you instead of following your own heart, be like speaking your truth. Like if you're not speaking your truth, you're taking that on. So if you start speaking your truth, you peel that away and you realize you're enough, you love yourself, and you do all this stuff. I discovered once I started doing that, I found this just joyful place of just content and happy. And it was just this idea that I didn't need to take that all on. It kind of comes down to taking on what you need to and then leaving the rest. And it's like realizing what is kind of essential. So for example, one thing I've noticed in terms of what's been a big change for me has been my morning routine. And I've looked at the way I wake up in the mornings. And it's just kind of crazy because I look back about 6 months ago, and it's not that long, 6 months, but I do see such a huge shift. And one thing that I've noticed in this year since putting in these small steps is I noticed that I used to, and I still do sometimes, but I've noticed less. I used to wake up with this like, okay, I'm like slowly, your alarm goes off and you kind of open your eyes and you're like becoming aware, you're not quite sure where you are. You're looking around like, oh, what's happening? I was in this dream and it was really good. And it's horrible to say this, but I would have this realization and my life would come flooding back to me. Like I was in this dream state, it was beautiful, I was sleeping, I was having a good time. Then I woke up to my reality and I was disappointed. And I was sad and I got stressed and anxious, and I felt this like fear instantly upon waking up every day. And I never realized that was a problem. I never even realized that was a thing until it stopped happening. And I didn't, it had been happening for so long that I woke up in this state of fear and anxiety and stress of the to-do lists and the expectations of other people and the expectations of myself that I placed on myself, of this not acknowledging my feelings, so they just kind of built up and lived in my body in this big ball of stress. And I wasn't in practice of gratitude, so I wasn't being thankful for the things I had in my life, and just all these things that I wasn't doing led to this state. And it was so natural for me to feel this way that I thought it was my normal. And then after I started doing all this thing, I've peeled back all these layers to find this joy. And I noticed I start waking up and It doesn't happen every day. I still get my ball of stress days. But the joyful days are more frequent when I do this stuff. And so I wake up and I feel my bed, and I just feel the softness of my sheets, and I'm like coming to, and I see the flags, my peace flags, you can kind of see them there. And I like see my room, and I'm like, oh, I live in this beautiful place, and I have a place to live at bed. And I'm like, oh, I've got my window, and I'm gonna open the blind and let the light in. It just like, it's this restful, and I don't jump ahead to like, I've got to do this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and I've got to become this, and in the next year I have to get this done, and oh my god, if I'm not going to get that done, and oh my gosh, I'm going to go to work, and this person's going to judge me and feel this way, and blah, 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 blah. That's what used to go on in my head. And now I'm just here, and I'm gonna wake up, make my coffee, have a shower. Just really simple, break it down. And like, I realized that that's a choice to allow myself to stay in that state and to not try and take on too much, and just to feel this natural, joyful state that is within me at any moment. So when I'm reflecting on it, I think this idea of joy as this natural state, this natural way of being, really almost comes down to an idea that we should be only taking on what we need. I think it can be really easy to take on all this stuff from other people and from your experience and your environment and all this outside material that you are given on a daily basis, and just really coming back to the truth of what you are, which is just joy, which is just happiness. And when you peel back the layers of all these things that you feel the need to meet outside of you, this needs to people please, this need to not be enough because someone else says that that's a way you should be because you don't meet this criteria for them, and that puts all this shame and sadness and these stories onto you, and it packs onto you, kind of like I'm picturing in my head like you're a water bottle and you've got too many stickers on you. You just need to peel back so you can actually see what's in there. And it's just joy, and you just got to let it come through and to let it shine out, and to be able to shine out fully and truly, you need to peel back what's not yours. So I guess what I really mean when I talk about joy as a natural state, I'm really talking about take what you need and leave the rest. And by that, it's take on from others what serves you. Take on from the environment what serves you, and leave the rest. Take only what brings you more joy. Leave the rest. I think that's me. Video number 19. Be back later with the next video. And I'll definitely be wearing the same clothes because I didn't do a video yesterday, so I'm doing 2 right now. And catch up. That's okay. Have a good day.